Having said that, the Oz report for September 8th, 2023, we're going to start with Plex and Plex close items as we always do. So the Plex price itself, you know, it recovered a little bit. We had that New Eden sale going on a few weeks ago when the Plex price spiked over 5 million. Now we're back into a range that is quite normal for the last few months, which is just under 5 million with buy prices around 4.7 million. So this is the equilibrium that the market has been trending to over the last few weeks. So when you see it right now, when you see it approaching 4.5 million or so on the buy side, one thing you can do is certainly invest into Plex and wait for one of these NES sales to happen where people need Plex to take advantage of an Omega sale or a skill extractor sale. We've seen this time and time again over the last few months that makes the Plex price spike. And when the Plex price spikes, it's basically liquid ISK. So you can immediately sell it back to the market very, very efficiently. And so, you know, Plex actually is a valid investment, even though you still have to understand that there's massive risk always in all of these Plex and Plex adjacent items, because you know, you can invest massive amounts into it, because these are the three largest items traded in EVE Online: Plex, injectors, and extractors. But you can also lose massive amounts of money. So here, be careful. But you know, if you kind of follow the market, it can be a very good money maker. If we look at skill extractors, I mean, this has been the big disappointment for large scale traders such as myself. I know a lot of you invested in these. The sale that we saw here in June, it's kind of hard to see here. It is blocked. Let's see if I move it up like this. You can see that massive sale in June, where we had 2-for-1 skill extractors in the NES if you bought it with Plex. That just created so much supply in the market that it's just not recovering, right? In the long run, if we don't see another big sale on extractors, and I can't imagine CCP doing another one. I don't know, right? It could happen, no problem at all, or it wouldn't even be super surprising. But I just don't feel like they're going to do that again, because it was so massive last time, right? And it caused significant shifts in the market. The Plex market was wiped out, so there was a lot of complications from that sale. So I still think that skill extractors are going to rise in the long run. If we're looking at current pricing around 424. Oh wow, 424 is actually, that's a spike we've seen in the last few hours here. So it's already gone up from 418 or so to 424. So we are seeing a little bit of upward movement here. I still think my sell point would be around 450 million or so. Seeing as there's so much supply out there that at each 10 million step, you're going to see a lot of people liquidating their stocks. So just be aware, those skill extractor stocks are out there. People are liquidating them, but also a lot of people are building up skill farms, right? So this certainly also means that there is a lot of demand right now for skill extractors, because skill farms are so profitable right now. Excuse me, been talking so much all day. Now, having said that, skill injectors, they have been dropping consistently. I've been calling it. It has to be, because the skill farming profit is still at what is it? We're looking at a skill farming profit of around 1.7 billion per account if you sub for a full year with Plex in the NES store by buying the 12-month Omega package with Plex. So your profit is 1.7 billion per account. That means that people are making a lot of money skill farming. And yes, cheap skill extractors are contributing to that. The Plex price at 5 million is not hurting it. And so it's only logical that as long as skill extractor prices stay this low, large skill injector prices keep falling, keep falling, keep falling. And they have a while to go unless we see Plex price rising or unless we see skill extractor prices rising. Otherwise, we're going to see skill injectors selling. So right now, if you're producing skill injectors or if you're thinking about selling them, you know, you'd rather sell them now than later, because right now there's no indication that large skill injectors will bounce back, right? All right, let's go back into the dashboard. So if we're looking at what's trending up this week, we're seeing some dead space modules there as usual, but nothing really, you know, out of the ordinary here. Trending down this week, we're seeing full ride C50, C60. We saw them spike last week because of the big dread brawl. People were trying to scramble up resources to replace their ships that were destroyed, and so that has all pulled back. And the lesson learned from this is that these big fights or these big, you know, jerk reactions in the markets, they never really last. We've seen that 3 or 4 times over the last year when you have, you know, people excited about new content or a big fight that destroys a lot of things. These things don't push up raw material prices for a long time. It's really just a panic. Yeah, people see, oh, there's a lot of destruction. I gotta buy all the material I can. They spike the price, and then it then immediately drops back down because a very high price, a full ride C50 or C60 price that rises by 50-60% in 1 week, it's just not sustainable because people are going to liquidate their stockpiles, right? So we're seeing those come back down. What we are seeing on the short supply side is, yes, Plex is always there, by the way. The Plex market is so efficient that there's never a lot of Plex in the market compared to the daily trade volume. It's just a market that is moving at such an incredible pace that it doesn't need to be, right? Noxium is interesting because Noxium, there's only half a day trade, half a trade day left in the market. So if we go, let me find my graph here, short supply Noxium. We saw, certainly, probably I'm contributing to this because last week I mentioned it, and after the Oz report last week, it certainly spiked, but we're looking at Noxium prices around 1,200, which is higher than we've seen basically all year. And that's because the supply of Noxium was already going down before we saw the Plex, the big brawl that we saw. With production now ramping up on several fronts, Noxium is just, it's just running out of supply, and this high price has been, sticking around quite a bit now. We've seen 2 weeks of high Noxium prices. So certainly, I am currently selling my Noxium supplies that I have because 1,200 to me is a very good price, and at some point, it should be coming back down. We see Fullerite C70 also in short supply, but that's similarly to the C50 and C60. This is just because in the last weeks it's just been bought up, right? There's just not a lot of it in the market. We saw it ease up for C50 and C60. C70 just hasn't eased up, not on the price side too much, and also not on the supply side too much. There was a strange anomaly that we discussed earlier on stream. That's for some reason, and I don't have this answer. I don't know if this is a weird fat finger or this is some sort of large supplier liquidating their or canceling their sell orders or what. But we saw sleeper component availability, the supply in the forge drop by 70 to 90%. Either that's a data glitch or something weird is happening. I'm sorry I can't answer that question right now, but I don't I just don't know what's happening yet. The same is happening with red loot as well. So red loot and blue loot, for some reason, all the sell orders are disappearing. And I don't know why that is, but over the next few days, I'm sure we'll find out what is going on there. I suspect it to be a data glitch, but who knows? I hope it's not an indication for botting. If we're looking at most underpriced things, then we're still seeing a lot of planetary commodities there. And underpriced here is, quote unquote, because these aren't really underpriced. The price is just dropping, and I mentioned this over the last few weeks several times, so I don't want to go into too much detail here, but they've had their volume halved, so it's just easier to move them. So this is a permanent price decrease because there's more available in the market. There's just more going around. And so same with protein, oxygen. These are just things that used to not be available much in the markets because they were tedious to move, but now they're just easier to move. And the same with the freighters. We talked about them last week. They're not underpriced. They've just had their BPC changed significantly over the last few weeks, and this is just or months, and this is just the market catching up to the prices. They're actually perfectly well priced. What is interesting, what I want to mention is platinum, because platinum really is trading 20% under 52-week average, and for a raw moon material that is trading at a very, very high volume, such as platinum, it's very interesting when it dips at 80%. So if we look at it in the game client here, let's see here, underpriced platinum, you can see in the graph here that we saw the massive spike in the moon material markets, and this has now dropped back down to previous levels. But with raw materials, we always see kind of a cyclical markets here. And what I do as one strategy is whenever I have to park large sums of ISK and I don't really see the opportunities out in the markets, I look at the large raw material groups that are trading, above 5 billion a day or something, and I just purely look at 52-week average, sort the ones out that CCP is messing with right now. So for example, isogen, you can't really rely on because isogen is a bottleneck that CCP is trying to remove right now actively. So isogen, you've got to, not speculate in right now just because the pricing is very high. But, things like platinum, very good chance that at some point it's going to come back. So, just get in there, invest some ISK into raw materials that are trading 10 or 20% below 52-week average, and typically in ETH history that hasn't hurt you too much, because it would take a lot for a moon material to drop, like platinum, to drop way below their 52-week average in this case. In this case, it's actually at the 52-week low, so that's actually a good price to buy in. So let me look at the rest of the items here to see if I forgot to mention something. No, I think we'll call it a day. We already did the monthly economic report analysis, so my voice is slowly leaving me. So this we'll keep it short today. If you have feedback, you want me to mention a certain category that I haven't mentioned in a while in the Oz report, just leave me feedback on our Discord channel or on the podcast feed, and I'm happy to address that going forward. All right. See you guys next week on the Oz report, and I will return to the regular